It was in the silence of the fourth candle that I heard his name, and I swear no one in that room dared to speak it aloud. In the forgotten village of San Miguel, the windows still tremble when the wind comes from the east, carrying the thick scent of melted wax and burnt wood. Time doesn't pass here. It gathers. In the cracks of the floorboards, in the rusted hinges, in prayers no one dares to finish. And it's always the same room, the one at the end of the house where the door never opens without groaning like something in pain, a room that even empty breathes like a wounded chest. I first stepped inside when I was still a boy. Barefoot I felt the chill of the wood, and the candles, which no one had lit, was already flickering in the dark, as if it knew me. Since then, I return every year, never alone. But I always leave that way, alone, because whoever steps inside never leaves whole. The year was 1793, and San Miguel seemed cut off not just from the world, but from time itself. There were no reliable maps, no easy roads. The muddy trails swallowed carts whole, and the church bells rang late, as if even sound resisted passing through that place. The village was tucked deep in a valley, surrounded by mountains that loomed like silent sentinels. People lived by prayer, wax, and silence. Words were rare. Fear was constant. Because the darkness there wasn't a lack of light, it was something else, something old, a name that faded from books, but not from bones. Everything smelled of the past and dread, the walls, the rivers, even the bread. They said time didn't pass in San Miguel. It sank, like bodies into a swamp, and every year one more house disappeared. Official records are scarce, but some letters survived the mold. One written by a young priest from Coimbra describes a discomfort he couldn't quite explain. Here, even the light seems to ask permission before entering. There is a weight that follows me to bed. Another traveler noted that no one ever made eye contact. Their gaze was low, hollow, like they had seen too much. Superstition ruled everything. The chapel bells rang 3 times every dawn, even when no one pulled the rope. And the candles, they never fully went out. The flame died, but the wick still glowed, like it was breathing, waiting. There was a silent pact between the villagers and the fear, and anyone who broke it paid dearly. Back then, many believed certain lands bore a spiritual stain, a tear in the veil between the world of the living and the dead. San Miguel was one of those tears. Even the bishop warned in hidden diocesan letters that this village is haunted by a grief that death did not end. It was as if something had happened there, something that kept happening. Elders spoke of an old fire, a child never born, a broken vow made before the altar, but no one said its name. Naming it was dangerous. Naming could wake it, and whatever slept beneath that land didn't want to be disturbed. That's why strangers never stayed. There was only one dirt road to San Miguel, and it seemed to shift with the fog. On cold days, the path stretched endlessly. On warm days, it vanished altogether. Many claimed to get lost before arriving, even with local guides. A thick mist covered the valley, smelling of wet wax and worn leather. Travelers often heard bells, though no church was in sight. And once someone did arrive, they felt it. Pressure in the temples, cold sweat down the spine, a gut-deep sense that something was wrong. But the most disturbing thing was the sound. A constant, soft echo from the mansion on the hill, like a door was always closing, or trying to open. On market day, smiles were rare. Children clung to their mothers. Men avoided looking at the hill where the old mansion stood empty ever since the Barroso family left without a word. But it wasn't normal abandonment. It was ritual, as if they fled, but left everything behind: food on plates, firewood by the hearth, portraits on the walls. The house didn't feel deserted. It felt avoided. Yet no one could help looking at it, because every night a single window on the upper floor glowed faintly, as if lit by candlelight, as if someone still waited inside or watched. The elders claimed it was moonlight, but no one ever climbed the hill to check, not even the drunkest ones. In the village tavern, stories were whispered between shots of cachaça and nervous glances. They said the Barroso patriarch went mad after his youngest daughter died, that he locked himself in that room, candles burning, sealing the door with hot wax. And when it was finally forced open, the room was empty. But the smell of burning wax still hung in the air. The body was never found, only handprints on the wall, like someone trying to get out or in. Since then, the room remained shut. A new lock added every generation. Still, everyone knew the candles lit themselves, always at the same time, 3 in the morning, a ritual that time couldn't erase. A letter from 1794, sent by a Portuguese royal envoy, described the village's mental state. The women share identical nightmares. Men hear footsteps at night. There is a collective fear, though no one admits it. The priests refuse to hold mass, and the chapel remains sealed. The document was filed under rural superstition, but a handwritten note on the back read, "Do not send anyone else. The village does not wish to be healed." The letter was never answered. In the following years, San Miguel disappeared from official maps, as if even the crown had accepted that the land belonged to something else, a logic where time, faith, and reason no longer applied. Despite this, a few still came. Artists, poets, young theologians, all drawn by the mystery, and all, without exception, changed forever. One of them, writer Otávio Marques, left behind a diary. In it were sketches of the mansion and notes about whispers at night. He wrote, "There is a room that glows in the dark, even without candles, and a name that rides the wind but disappears when I try to write it." Shortly after returning to the city, Otávio vanished. His journal was found open on the hearth, final sentence unfinished. "He's still and nothing else." The ink had bled across the page, as if soaked in tears or hot wax. As the decades passed, the name San Miguel became a whispered myth among historians and clergy. Some tried to investigate, but their expeditions ended abruptly. The last priest sent stayed only 3 days. He returned with hair turned white. He never spoke of what he saw. Some said he lost his mind after hearing a candle light itself in the dark. No match, no flame, no hand, but intention. That's what frightened them most. The candles didn't just light, they chose when and why. The mystery wasn't only spiritual, it was physical. A habit buried in wood and wall. A ritual that didn't end with death, it began there. Today, few dare to speak of the village, and those who do lie just enough to make the memory bearable. Descendants of the old families now live scattered under different names, but some still carry marks. Dreams of creaking stairs, of wax, of a blue flame. Dreams where they wake inside the forbidden room, unable to leave. Modern scholars call it genetic memory of trauma, but those who lived in San Miguel know it isn't memory, it's visitation, and it doesn't knock. Some pacts made with the dark don't break with distance, they only sleep and wait, like candles still burning inside the soul. It was the smell that called me back, not a common scent, but the exact same one I remembered from my first time there. Melted wax, damp wood, and old iron. Some places freeze in time, others rot in it. The mansion in San Miguel is the latter. The windows have no glass, just frames eaten by time and insects. Yet even from outside, I feel watched, not through them, but from them. The stone facade is dark with moss. The front door still groans, not like wood, but like something in pain, and even on windless nights, the beams above creak, as if remembering, as if whispering. The mansion hasn't forgotten, neither have I. The structure still stands with a strange dignity, despite its centuries. 3 floors, all built from hardwood carried upriver in long canoes during the Empire. The main staircase was crafted without nails, only joints. Legend says the carpenter died right after finishing it, falling from the top step. No one climbs it now without a pause. Each board groans deep, like a throat struggling to speak. On the ground floor, sound echoes too well. Even when the space is empty, footsteps seem to follow yours. In the kitchen, old tools still hang. Iron pans, cracked cups, a chair toppled in the corner, like someone stood up fast or was pulled away. Walking through the mansion feels like moving inside a dead body. The walls resemble bones. The air is thick, not with moisture, but with something internal, something trapped. The ceiling on the second floor is stained with old leaks, but the marks, they form shapes. Maps, faces, no one can tell. In the central hallway, portraits line the walls, their eyes faded by time or something else. At the end of the corridor, one door, always closed, always damp. From that door, the scent flows, the scent of burned wax and candlelight. Even when you're standing far from it, that's where the warmth comes from. That's where it begins. The main hall used to hold family gatherings. Now it holds nothing. It feels like a vacuum, a space that eats sound and feeling. Sometimes standing there, I feel a sudden urge to cry. No reason, no warning, just sorrow. The walls are cracked like veins. A chandelier hangs from a single copper wire, spinning slowly, even when there's no air moving. Furniture lies beneath sheets so old they've merged with the wood. A wall clock is frozen at 3 Gao AM, always 3 Gao. We've tried to fix it, open it, replace it. The hands always return. Time inside the mansion belongs to something else, and somewhere above, a drip echoes, even when there's no leak, and nowhere for water to fall. The doors don't slam, they murmur. Every time I open one, it feels like I'm interrupting, like each room is mid-conversation, paused only because of me. The library is still full, pages swollen from damp air. Some words are blacked out, others underlined, again and again. Do not enter. Keep watch. It repeats. A journal lies open on the desk, ink smudged. One sentence still visible. He still lights them. No match, no candle. The paper smells faintly of smoke, but there's no fire damage, no ash, just dust. And this dust feels like it's watching back. The kitchen is especially unsettling, perhaps because it's the most human room, the most ordinary, and yet everything's wrong. Dishes are dirty, but with no food residue. Utensils scattered as if someone left mid-meal. Firewood stacked and dry, ready, but no fire. Never has been, not since the family left. Still, the iron stove is warm. We measured it, documented it, returned days later, still warm. The wood around it shows no burn marks, and on the dining table, one napkin, folded, untouched, with a single drop of red wax, still soft to the touch. Upstairs, the air thickens. It presses back against you, like walking through water. The floorboards moan louder, the ceiling feels lower, the bedroom doors are left half open, as if someone wanted them that way. In one, the curtains sway, no window open, no breeze, just the sound, soft, low, of breathing. But from outside the room, another holds a cracked mirror, Latin carved into its frame. Lux in tenebris, light in darkness. But the mirror never shows your reflection in real time. It lags slightly, just enough to make you wonder, is it you, or the person who stood there before, or maybe the one still standing behind you? In the basement, where no one dares go anymore, there are objects that don't belong to the 18th century. A modern flashlight, batteries intact, a backpack left behind by a researcher who never came back, photos taken decades ago, all with the same error, a small blurry flame in the lower corner. Like each picture captured a candle no one remembers lighting. Symbols are scratched into the walls. Some are crosses, others eyes. One, more recent than the rest, says, "Stop lighting them." No one knows who wrote it, but someone replied, in fresh red wax, just one sentence. He never stopped. Even from outside, the mansion breathes. At night, it seems taller. The windows multiply, and the feeling of being watched doesn't leave as you step away. It gets worse, because the mansion never watches directly. It watches from angles, from cracks, from somewhere just behind you, like it's choosing, as if every visit is an audition. And one day, it chooses. The candles don't light for just anyone. They choose. They remember. And when they do, the heat doesn't burn. It paralyzes. Even in full daylight, it feels like you're not alone. Not alive, not dead, just there. His name was Bartolomeu, but almost no one dared say it out loud. To the villagers, he was simply the man upstairs, a title whispered like a prayer you're afraid to finish. Bartolomeu Barroso was the second son of a landowner, a well-educated man, elegant in posture, with eyes too deep to look into for long. He lacked his brother's hardness, his father's fire, always walked alone, always carried a book and an unlit candle. People said his prayers weren't to save souls, but to remember. Remember what? No one knew, until the little girl died, the youngest, the only one he loved, and something in him extinguished, but the candle lit. After the girl's death, Bartolomeu locked himself in the back room, the same room no one opens now. 3 days and nights without eating, without speaking, only the sound of wax, scraped, poured, burning. The flame never died. When they finally broke the door, the floor was flooded with hardened wax. In the center, a circle carved into the wood. No body. Just an open book and one sentence written in blood at the bottom of the page. She returned, but doesn't breathe. After that, no one ever saw Bartolomeu again. Not alive, not dead. The only certainty is that the room remained warm, and the candles, even with no matches, kept glowing at night. The book Bartolomeu left behind was rare, untitled. Yellow pages, handwritten margins, a mix of Latin, archaic Portuguese, and unknown symbols. Religious scholars called it blasphemy. Scientists called it madness. But to me, it felt like a journal, a map of his sorrow, a spiral of grief where his soul still tried to speak. One sentence was repeated across the pages. Her light didn't stop. It's in the walls. It's in the wood. As if he truly believed she still lived, but not like we do, in another form, one that needed wax and silence. The few who studied the book fell ill, headaches, nausea, fainting. One researcher went temporarily blind after reading the final pages. She claimed she saw a child's face, eyes closed, and a smile that wasn't human. A priest took the book to his monastery, hoping to cleanse it. 2 weeks later, he was found dead in the library, his mouth filled with wax. There were no candles nearby, just a crumpled note in his hand. He still writes through the walls. The book disappeared after that. Some say it was burned. Others swear it keeps reappearing, always in the same place, the locked room, on the desk, open to the same page. There were claw marks on the walls of the house, not like animal scratches, human, vertical lines in spirals as if something tried to scratch its way through. On the door of the forbidden room, a phrase appeared on its own. She's not the only one who stayed. A painter was hired to cover it. He quit before finishing, said he heard breathing behind the wood. Slow, measured, like someone sleeping or pretending to. No matter how many layers they painted, the phrase came back. Sometimes in charcoal, sometimes in dried blood, most often in wax. After Bartolomeu vanished, the villagers made new rules. No one went upstairs at night. Children were forbidden near the mansion, and whenever someone died, a candle would be left burning for 7 nights. It was a way to fool him, to make it seem the dead weren't alone. Just superstition, maybe. But no one risked breaking it, because when they forgot, someone would always dream of Bartolomeu. Same dream, always the same. Him sitting at the desk, staring, sometimes writing, sometimes weeping, but always surrounded by flames that didn't light anything. They just warmed the fear. Old Alfredo, the last true villager, told me something I've never forgotten. As a boy, he once heard voices from the mansion, a little girl laughing, then a deeper voice, light another. She's still cold. He ran home. Years later, as a grown man, he had the same dream, but this time he held the candle, and the girl had no face. only eyes and wax running down her skin. I asked how he knew it was Bartolomeo. He didn't answer, just stared at me and said he didn't die. He became the walls. And then he wept, like he was apologizing or asking for permission. Modern researchers call this residual energy. They say deep trauma can imprint on a place like a scar in time. But San Miguel doesn't have scars. It has eyes, it has breath, and Bartolomeo's spirit isn't an echo. It's a repetition, a will that acts without body. He doesn't appear as a ghost. He's a pattern, a gesture repeating, a candle that lights, wax where there shouldn't be any, and sometimes a word, spelled in droplets, as if time itself keeps trying to finish the same phrase, always the same. She's still here. Today, most people avoid saying his name. Others claim Bartolomeo is just a metaphor, an archetype of grief turned mad. But there's too much evidence. Candles that light on their own, books that vanish and return, marks that reappear, and voices still being heard. When I entered that room, yes, I did, everything felt suspended. Not warm, not cold, moisture in the air, a deep sound like ink being written across wood. But no one there, just the flame, flickering, watching, and sometimes, and for just a moment, I feel it. Not fear, but recognition, as if he knows that I, too, lost someone. The door to the forbidden room isn't just wood, it's memory pressed into grain. No matter how bright the day, it always looks wet, like it cried during the night. The doorknob is far too cold, even under sunlight, and before you touch it, your stomach tightens, as if something behind it is waiting or listening. For years, no one dared to open it, but it always looked touched. The lock rusted, the latch scraped, as if someone or something had gone in and out. An old blacksmith once claimed the latch was installed backwards, locked from the inside. But how? No one lives there, no one breathes there, and yet sometimes the door breathes. The first time I entered, I wasn't alone. There were three of us, a historian, a journalist, and myself. We brought flashlights, crucifixes, and recording gear. But when the door opened, none of our lights turned on. Only the candle, the single one already burning, sitting on the desk. Always the same candle, always trembling, like it knew it wasn't time yet. The air inside was thick, not dusty, but like something hot rising from below. The ceiling felt lower, the floor was warm, not from the wood, but like there was fire beneath it. Something still burning, or still waiting. We stood still for minutes. No one spoke, only the sound of the flame breathing. The walls were covered in markings, not paintings, drawings scratched directly into the wood, charcoal, wax, blood, maybe, circles, eyes, hands, so many eyes, all without pupils, some small, others larger than any human face. They didn't move, but they turned somehow, in your mind. When you looked away, they returned. Some were slashed with rage, others weeping, and on the largest wall, a phrase, written in so many layers it blurred, "Don't extinguish." The last letters smeared, and from the final word, a trail of red wax, still wet. In the right-hand corner, a mirror, covered with a brown cloth sealed with wax at the corners. None of us wanted to uncover it, but it fell, on its own. No crash, just a slow slide, as if it had already been undone. The mirror didn't reflect the room. It showed the hallway behind us, the exact spot we'd come from. And in it, someone was standing, a figure, still, shadowed. We turned around. Nothing, but the sound. It stayed, like shoes being removed slowly. No footsteps on the floor, but the mirror saw. The journalist cried. The historian dropped to his knees. And I closed my eyes, because I understood. It wasn't a mirror. It was a door, but only from inside. The desk in the center looked untouched, as if time refused to age it. But it was from the 18th century, no doubt. Dark wood, intricate carvings, the Barroso family crest on the side, and on it, the same candle, always lit, always dripping wax in one direction. as if the air in that room always moved the same way. But there was no window, just walls, and on those walls claw marks, tiny holes, not big enough for nails, too deep for termites. An old journal lay open, wet, not with water, with wax. The words bled, only one sentence readable at the top of the page. She still feels cold. On the floor, a worn circular rug, sewn with red and black thread. Beneath it, scratched wood, a scorched symbol. An incomplete circle broken by a vertical line shaped like a knife. We placed a camera in the center, pointed straight up. The footage showed the ceiling, but with one oddity. The candle's light blinked in rhythm. 3 flashes. Pause. 3 flashes. Pause. Like a code. Then, at second 27, a shadow crossed the lens. Not in the room, just in the video. Like someone stood between the flame and something we couldn't see. Then the candle went out and relit itself, but none of us noticed, not until we watched the footage. The smell in that room is never the same. Sometimes sweet, like burnt honey. Other times bitter, wet leather and dust, but always wax, dripping old, fresh. Some drops still soft, others solid, fossilized. On one floorboard we saw a name, Beatrice. Crooked letters trembling, as if written by a weak hand, or a very small one. We remembered then the girl, Bartolomeu's daughter, the one who died, the one he said came back. Was it her, or him, writing as her, through her? We'll never know. Only this: the next day, the name was gone, the wood smooth, clean, but the candle still burning. Next to the bed, a small wooden box, locked. We didn't open it that day, but we heard something inside. Not an object shifting, a pulse, rhythmic, faint, but steady. When we placed a hand on the lid, it trembled, just slightly, like it was breathing, like it was waiting. We don't know what's in there. Some say it's the girl's hair, others a piece of her dress. But some believe it's alive, still feeling, still aware. And that's why the room never cools, never sleeps. Because whatever lies inside does not want to be forgotten. And each candle lit is a reminder, or an invitation. Before leaving, I tried to blow out the candle, just for a moment, just to see. I used my fingers. The wax burned me, but the flame didn't. It passed through, as if it wasn't there, or as if it was, but only inside. I felt something enter my hand, a dry coldness that crawled to my shoulder. The historian screamed. The journalist collapsed. The camera froze. Then, darkness. The flame vanished. For 2 seconds, the room felt enormous, like the walls had fallen away, like the house had taken a long breath. Then the candle lit itself again. Same strength, same smell, as if it whispered, "Don't do that again." And we didn't. The first time anyone saw the candle light itself was in 1811. It was a still afternoon, humid, silent. Sebastian, the carpenter, was working on the ground floor, fixing window frames. The door to the forbidden room was locked, as always, but he heard a snap from inside. He climbed the stairs slowly. No one followed. As he approached the door, a strange heat came from beneath the floorboards, like coals smoldering below. He placed his ear to the wood, heard a single breath, a breath like someone blowing to ignite. The lock clicked. The door opened 2 inches, and there it was, in the center of the room, the candle, once unlit, now burning, small, still, watching him. Sebastian never returned. The reports continued for decades. In 1847, a teacher named Helena tried converting the mansion into a girls' school. She kept a journal. One entry stands out. It was noon. No one was upstairs, but from the hall, I saw light flickering beneath the door, as if someone inside was walking with a candle in hand. As I stepped closer, the movement stopped, but the flame lit before my eyes. No spark, no match. She sketched what she saw, a ring of wax on the floor, a faint blue flame, and beside the candle, a small footprint, not child-sized, not adult, something in between. The print stayed for 3 days, In the years that followed, travelers came drawn by the legend. Some slept in the mansion, others only watched from afar. But nearly all told the same story. The candle lights itself when no one is there. And sometimes when someone is, it goes out, as if refusing to be seen. A 19th century engineer tried explaining it with science. Methane gases from rotting wood, static discharge. But even he wrote, in a note left behind, that the flame responded. It reacts to presence. This is not ordinary fire. It waits, it chooses. They found the note years later, wrapped in hardened wax. In 1902, a photographer named Mariano spent 3 nights inside. He wanted to catch the moment. He set up tripods, flash glass plates, but every morning his negatives were blank, not burned, not torn, just nothing, until the last night. He captured 3 frames. First, the candle, unlit. Second, a blur of light. Third, the candle burning. But the most disturbing detail was in the reflection, on the floorboards. Someone stood in front of the candle, their face lost in shadow. The negative vanished days later. But Mariano never forgot the reflection, or the smile that shouldn't have been there. Not everyone saw the flame with their eyes. Some felt it. The air would shift, a dry warmth rising through the feet. The sound of the wick, a soft hiss, would echo inside your skull even when you weren't near. Once, a boy collapsed after entering the room. When he woke, he whispered in Latin. He'd never studied the language. A doctor tried hypnosis. The boy repeated the same line. Lux, lux in tenebris ipsa venit. Light in darkness, she comes. After that, he stopped speaking for months. But his eyes always followed the candle, even when it was unlit. The flame in that mansion is not like ordinary fire. The color changes, sometimes blue like gas, other times amber, gold almost. But the rarest was the black flame, as if it burned shadow. A witness once described it as smoke that dances in reverse. During those moments, time in the room seemed to slow. Sound muffled, heartbeats echoed louder, and when the dark flame went out, the room exhaled, literally, a deep, pressured sigh, as if the space itself had been holding its breath, like something had just left or changed places. The villagers developed a strange ritual. When families feuded, they'd leave a lit candle at the enemy's doorstep. It wasn't a threat, it was a warning. He is near. On certain nights, the church bells rang on their own, 3 quick strikes. And without fail in the mansion, the candle would be lit, always at the same hour. 3 a.m., like a clock that didn't tell time, only presence. Some claimed to dream of the candle, said they felt its flame inside their chest at night. They'd wake with wax on their pillowcases, always red, always warm. Modern attempts to monitor the flame failed. Motion sensors, heat meters, spectrum analysis. Nothing explained it. The flame appeared without ignition, with no visible fuel. The wick never burned down, it just held. Scientists coined the term symbolic combustion, a fancy phrase for something they couldn't explain. One physicist went public. "This is not fire, this is communication." He was mocked. But shortly after publishing, his lab burned down. No source was found, just a piece of his report, charred. In the corner, a red drop of wax, still soft. Today, the flame is treated like a living thing. No one tries to blow it out. No one asks why it lights. They just watch, in silence. Because every time someone tries to document, question, or resist, something happens. A door won't open. A recorder shuts off. A body freezes. The flame doesn't demand attention. It arrives. And when it does, it doesn't illuminate. It reveals. And what it shows is not for everyone. Because inside that fire lives a name that shouldn't be spoken, a name that burns when uttered. And if you speak it, it might vanish. Or worse, it might answer. The bishop didn't want to send anyone. He had refused before, but under pressure from powerful families, and with rumors spreading fast about what lived in the old house of San Miguel, he gave in. The chosen one was Father Domingos. Young, devout, recently ordained in Evora. A man of steady hands, calm voice, and unshakable belief. They said even animals quieted in his presence. He wrote before leaving, "Nothing that dwells in darkness can withstand the light of God." He arrived at sunset carrying a missal, holy water, and a single white candle. No one came out to greet him, and as he passed the mansion, his candle went out. That first night he prayed, alone in the village chapel. He asked for silence, fasting, and prayer. Once every hour he rang the bell. On the second day he climbed to the mansion, alone, carrying the full Roman ritual. The villagers kept their distance. The lower floors felt still, maybe even welcoming. But when he reached the forbidden door, everything changed. The air grew thick. The crucifix in his hand grew heavy. The church bell rang once, though no one touched the rope. From inside the room, footsteps. Not many, just one. And then, the candle he'd left unlit burst into flame. Dry wick, no source. Domingo stood his ground and began the exorcism. In Latin, steady voice, hands shaking. He sprinkled the walls with holy water, marked the door with oil. But the candle didn't fade. It grew. The flame doubled in size with each verse. His book trembled in his hands. Wax dripped, not from motion, but intention. And when it hit the floor, the wood moaned. A low, breathless sound, like something wounded beneath the boards. Domingos knelt, sweat on his back. He kept praying, but his own voice vanished. The room silenced it. All sound died, except the sound of burning. Behind him, something began to form on the wall. Not scratched, not written. It grew, a sentence, shaped from wax sliding down the candle on its own. "She does not want to leave." Domingos froze. The words pulsed under the flame. Alive. He reached to wipe them away. His hand burned, but the flame never moved. He fell back, and for just a second he saw something. A small shape in the corner, crouched, still, watching. No eyes, just holes, and from the mouth, wax. He ran, left the house, said no more prayers, left town before dawn, never came back. What Father Domingo saw remained secret for years, until, sick and near death, he finally told another priest. He said it wasn't a demon, it was grief, living grief. A sorrow that didn't want to be expelled because it didn't see itself as evil. It wasn't possession, he whispered. It was attachment. The spirit wasn't begging for salvation. It was begging to stay, like a flame that refuses to die, even with no air. He believed that by trying to cast it out, he woke something worse, something sleeping, something older. He began to lose time, woke up in dark rooms, wax on his hands, the scent of candles in his hair. Always that feeling that he had prayed to the wrong side. After Domingos fled, the church never returned officially. The mansion was labeled a case of rural superstition, safe to ignore. But the villagers knew better. Something had changed. The candles began to appear in other rooms, not just the forbidden one. Heat crept up the walls. At night, the house glowed from within, though no one was there. Some saw figures in the windows. Others heard the bell ringing again and again and again. On the chapel altar, a crack appeared, shaped like a flame. The local priests stopped holding mass in San Miguel. The bell rope was cut. No one dared touch it again. Years later, another man of faith arrived, Brother Augusto, a silent Benedictine monk obsessed with lost rituals. He brought ancient texts, fragments of apocryphal gospels, and black candles used in unofficial rites. He believed the entity needed to be confronted, not cleansed, challenged. He stayed 2 nights. On the 3rd morning, they found him in the forbidden room, alive, unconscious. All the candles were lit, and on his chest, over his robe, a word spelled in red wax, stayed. He never spoke again, spent the rest of his life drawing circles in the air, always with his finger, always in the dark. Others tried after that, spiritualists, mediums, occult scholars. None stayed more than 2 weeks. Some said the house rejected intermediaries. Others believed it didn't need help. It wanted witnesses. One wrote in his journal, "This is a shrine of grief. It feeds on eyes that won't close." The candle was the lighthouse, the room, the altar. Every attempt to cleanse the place made the flame stronger. One group tried sealing it with salt and mirrors. 3 nights later, the mirror cracked from the inside, the glass stayed intact, and the salt vanished. What few people know is that even after all of this, one candle still lights itself inside that house. No one knows who lights it. No one knows where the wick comes from. But every Friday at 3 a.m. the flame returns. Small, steady, like someone is still keeping vigil, like the ritual never ended. Maybe because it's not a ritual. It's a habit belonging to pain, or to someone still waiting. Not every spirit wants freedom. Some want remembrance. And some sorrows, when left unhealed, learn to light their own flame, and they never go out. The records that survived aren't official. They're not in history books or church ledgers. They exist in stained letters, unfinished diaries, scribbled map margins, and notes left inside old Bibles. A young French traveler in 1862 wrote, "San Miguel is not on the map, yet the road led me there, against my will. I stopped my horse to rest, and when I looked ahead, I saw the house. The candle was already burning. The room stared at me like a wet eye." She fled that same night. Her journal was found at an inn 20 leagues away. On the last page, a smear of blue wax. In 1890, retired Army Colonel Antonio Luis visited the house as a challenge. A man of reason, hardened by war, he entered with the pride of someone who had never seen the unexplainable. He wrote in his pocket notebook, "The house is old, but solid. The villagers' fear is folklore." I climbed to the room. Nothing. The candle was out, but the air smelled of hot iron. When I touched the doorknob, the wood pulsed. The account ends there. The notebook was found days later, left open on a stone near the mansion, and on the very last page, written in the same hand, it lit. In the 1930s, a group of medical students from the capital visited the site, calling it an experiment on collective suggestion and psychic induction. They arrived laughing. They left silent. One of them, Davi Montero, anonymously submitted a letter to a local newspaper. We thought it would be a joke, something to laugh about later, but we all heard the same thing. The candle lit when no one was watching. The flame whispered words none of us knew. We came back changed. One of us still dreams of the room. Another refuses to light candles at home. And I only write this in daylight. The newspaper never published it. In 1957, a woman named Teresa, a widowed seamstress, chose to spend a night there to confront her fear of death. She brought a chair, a rosary, and 3 candles. Only one stayed lit, but in the morning, there were 5, all the same height, as if lit at the same moment. Teresa said she dreamed of her daughter who had died at age 7. In the dream, the girl was sewing patches of cloth with red thread, whispering, "He let me play here just for today." When she woke, the chair was toppled, the rosary hung from the window, and the original candle had changed color, no longer white, but gray, like forgotten wax that once burned. Oral records pass from generation to generation, from grandmothers to grandchildren, from healers to midwives, from drunks to priests in confession. One tale claims that in 1973, a lantern seller camped near the mansion. At night, he woke to a faint glow inside his tent. Thinking it fire, he ran out. But there was no flame, just the sound, the wick crackling, and the smell of a candle just blown out. He never sold lanterns again, always carried a candle in his pocket even during the day. When asked why, he'd simply say, "So he knows I have light too." In 1988, an unexpected visitor arrived, Scottish documentarian Alan Ross. He was filming ruins and religious legends across Brazil. Someone mentioned San Miguel. He filmed for 3 days. On the 4th, he disappeared. The camera was found. The footage ends with him climbing the stairs. Then, only silence. The microphone kept recording. You hear 3 taps, like someone knocking on wood, and then a whisper. Not Portuguese, not English, something guttural. serpentine. No linguist has identified the language, but the rhythm matches a prayer. Now and then, new stories appear in emails, mystery forums, letters with no return address. One wrote, "I went there. I didn't go inside, but I saw. The candle was already burning, no one in sight, but the house knew I was watching, and I knew it knew." Another, "My grandmother said if the candle lights in front of you, you'll never sleep in the dark again." Others claim to have seen the flame elsewhere, in dreams, in mirrors, in spoons, as if the light had learned to follow, to leave, and to find those who carry absence inside. In 2012, a team of paranormal researchers spent a week at the mansion. They used sensors, drones, thermal cameras. They recorded lights appearing from nowhere, spikes in heat with no source. But the most unsettling thing was what didn't show. In the forbidden room, no footage came out clear. The video distorted only in that space, as if the camera refused to see. One researcher had a dream. A little girl whispered, "You've seen enough." The interview was lost. But the team's logbook reads, "The candle doesn't want to be filmed. It wants to be felt." Now today, most people avoid talking about it. A few still remember, fewer still speak. Most prefer silence or pretend they've forgotten. But the pattern is always the same. A candle that lights when no one's looking, wax where there should be none, heat in empty rooms, and always to the same hour, 3 a.m., like an appointment. No face, no invitation, just presence. Whatever lives in that house, or whatever the house became, doesn't want understanding. It wants preservation. That's why every testimony is like a lit candle passed from hand to hand, from one century to the next. The first team to enter with modern equipment arrived in 1999, a project run by engineering and physics students from São Paulo. They brought infrared thermometers, digital recorders, motion sensors, even a handmade drone. Their goal, measure climate and acoustic anomalies inside the house. The first days showed nothing, but on the third, the data began to corrupt. Files vanished. Meters reset to zero, and the drone crashed inside the forbidden room. When retrieved, its blades were untouched, but the memory chip was melted, as if touched by fire. Yet nothing else showed signs of burning, only the floor beneath it, and there they found wax. In 2005, a team of German researchers came with special clearance from local authorities. Specialists in residual frequencies and low-range sound, they installed directional microphones in the mansion's attic. Over 7 nights, they recorded sounds that hadn't been heard in real time. Rhythmic knocking, a faint childlike whisper, and the sound of a candle being blown out, repeatedly. When they filtered the data, a strange frequency appeared, 3000 hertz, consistent with signals used in electronic candles. But there were none, and still, the flame burned. In 2010, an independent paranormal research group, Lumen Subterraneous, spent 2 weeks inside. They used night vision cameras and 3D laser mapping, attempting to build a digital replica of the house. But during rendering of the forbidden room, the program glitched. The model was corrupted by forms that didn't exist physically. Hands, faces, floating circular structures. In one version, the software formed a crouching figure beside the desk, a candle glowing at its chest. No motion was detected, but in the footage, the flame trembled. In 2014, the History Channel attempted an episode on haunted houses in Brazil. Full crew, spotlights, drones, writers ready to dramatize. But by day 2, all power systems failed. Cables melted from within. Memory cards appeared overwritten. One camera showed a scene no one recorded. The room, empty, with the candle lit. Filmed from an angle where no camera had been placed. And on the audio track, a whisper, "You forgot the name." The episode was shelved, never aired, never spoken of again. Thermal imaging experts noted extreme localized fluctuations. In one instance, the room dropped to 3 degrees C in seconds, but only in a 1-meter radius around the candle. Beyond that, 28 degrees C. The thermal camera showed a central heat point, But the heat didn't radiate. It contracted. The flame seemed to hold its warmth, refusing to share. When a researcher placed a thermometer near the wick, it shut off. When turned back on, it showed a date, 1811, the year of the first candle report. There was no explanation. EMF detectors, tools for electromagnetic field detection, showed spikes only when no one was in the room. Once someone entered, the activity stopped, as if human presence disrupted something delicate. One medium accompanying the team said, "She doesn't like to be seen, she likes to be remembered." During an EVP, electronic voice phenomena session, only one phrase was captured, a slow, dragging whisper, "Light, only inside." When analyzed, the voice resembled a child's, but the phonemes were not human. Video footage often glitched in inexplicable ways inside the mansion. Artifacts not caused by compression, lines curving around the flame, shadows inverting, faces slightly blurred. One researcher noticed that cameras trying to focus on the candle would jitter, blur, or shut off completely. An old analog camera, used on a whim, captured the clearest image. The candle lit in total darkness with a figure behind it. But when developed, the figure vanished. Only the flame remained. And strangely, it cast no shadows. In 2017, a Chilean researcher introduced a new approach, chemical sensors. She wanted to analyze the wax, trace elements, combustion triggers. She collected microscopic samples from the wick and the floor. Results? Inconclusive. But her instruments picked up a compound that shouldn't have been there, a molecule consistent with human tears. The room was dry, but something had wept. Under the microscope, one wax droplet showed a structure not unlike living tissue. She withdrew from the case, never returned. Since then, investigations have grown quieter, more cautious. Some believe the more attention the candle gets, the less it responds. People now try recording from afar, zoom lenses, drones, motion traps, but nothing replaces presence. The candle ignores technology. It answers intention. Sensors may fail, but chills never do. And there's one thing no device has ever recorded: the exact moment the flame recognizes you, when it stops flickering, holds still, and leans ever so slightly, as if to say, "You came back." The first time I heard the term spiritual echo, it was in a book that had no title, a weathered volume found in a locked cabinet of a decommissioned library in Porto. The author was a priest, long excommunicated. His idea was simple and terrifying. Extreme emotions, grief, guilt, longing, don't just stain a place. They repeat there, not as memories, but as involuntary gestures. He wrote, "Some spirits do not wander. They reverberate." When I read that, I thought of San Miguel, of the room, and of the candle, because everything there feels like a sentence that was never finished, a gesture stuck on repeat. Imagine a sorrow so dense it doesn't die with the body, an absence so full it takes shape, not as a ghost, but as an intention with form, something that doesn't think or speak, but feels the same moment, forever. That's the core of the spiritual echo theory. The room isn't haunted in the traditional sense. It's inhabited by a memory that refuses to move on. The candle doesn't light for show. It lights from necessity, because someone or something is still reliving the same instant over and over. The loss, the longing, the reach, the silence, and then again. Psychologists who've studied similar cases, rare but real, call it emotional cycles trapped in space. Places where the environment reacts like it has partial awareness, not intelligence, but reflex. When you enter that room, the air shifts, it waits, tests, and then the candle answers. Like the spirit, or what remains of it, is trying to reenact the original moment until it gets it right, like a scratched record. But what is it trying to fix? Or worse, who is it waiting for? One of the most unsettling ideas came from a neuroscientist. He visited San Miguel on vacation and returned obsessed. He theorized the house acts as an extension of trauma, a physical manifestation of Bartolomeo's broken neural pattern. The flame, the scent, the warmth, all are expressions of a psychic loop replaying itself, not out of malice, but as a repair attempt. But how do you fix a soul split in two? How do you extinguish pain that lights itself? Some open-minded theologians talk about an emotional limbo, not heaven, not hell, just between, a space where souls aren't punished, just forgotten. Bartolomeu isn't trapped in the house, he is the house, or the house became an extension of what remained. An echo that breathes, a body of wood and wax repeating gestures to avoid being erased. The candle doesn't shine, it confirms, says, I'm still here, not in words, in presence. It doesn't touch, but it weighs. And when you feel it, you know it's not just his. In hypnotherapy sessions with people who visited the mansion, strange patterns emerged. Phrases spoken by strangers who had never met. Identical gestures, the same hand on the chest. Some called out to Beatrice. Others simply murmured, it's still lit. As if the spiritual echo wasn't just confined to the house, but contagious. As if those who enter carry part of it with them. And later they dream of the room, of the heat, of the sound of the flame, and wake with the feeling that they too are waiting. Esoteric philosophers call this phenomenon symbolic pulsation. It's not a ghost, it's not a soul, it's a symbol trying to stay alive. The candle, in this theory, is the perfect symbol of a moment that refuses to end. The flame is the instant that keeps itself lit, so the world won't forget. The room is its cradle. There's no voice asking for help, just the gesture, the repetition, and the wait. And maybe that's why the room holds its breath when you enter, because it needs you to keep going. Attempts to break the cycle never worked. Exorcisms, rituals, isolation. The candle still burns. Maybe it doesn't want to stop. Maybe it's the only relief left, a flicker of warmth in endless absence, a trace of memory in the dark, which is why putting out the flame might not bring peace. It might open another wound, and each time someone tries, the flame returns faster, like it's learning, like it's saying, I'm not done yet. Some say Bartolomeu doesn't want salvation because there's none, not when what was lost wasn't the body or the soul, but the moment when something should have happened and didn't. The candle is that split second, that breath held too long, that word never spoken, and as long as someone stands in that room and feels what wasn't, the echo continues. Because what haunts San Miguel is not just the past, it's what almost happened and still tries to happen. I returned to San Miguel after many years. The road hadn't changed. Red earth lined with trees that seemed to have forgotten how to die. The village felt smaller, or maybe I had grown too much. I found the house just as before, still too intact for an empty place. The room still locked, but the doorknob was warm, and the air smelled of wax, always the wax. I opened the door slowly, as if asking permission, and when it creaked, I knew. He already knew. I didn't need to light anything. The candle was already burning, and the heat was coming from inside me. This time I brought something, a tape recorder, old, analog, heavy, and a small journal. I don't know why. Maybe to remind myself that time still moves outside that room. I pressed record, placed it on the desk, sat on the floor, as if returning home. The flame trembled slightly, like it recognized me. There was silence around me, but not inside. Inside, a question echoed. What did you come back for? And another answered, what did you forget to leave? After hours, or maybe minutes, I stopped the tape. Back home, I listened. I expected static, floor creaks, maybe wind, but there was breath, slow, deep, and between it something worse, the sound of a wick being lit, over and over. Even though the candle had never gone out, it was already burning, had always been burning. At the end of the tape, buried beneath the noise, a voice whispered, she still waits. I don't know if it was meant for me or the next one. In the following nights, dreams returned. Not vivid, just warm silence. Always at the same hour, 3 a.m. I'd wake with the scent of wax in the air. At first I thought it was coincidence, then obsession. Now I've accepted it, because some things do not want to be forgotten, and sometimes they choose someone to remember. The house at San Miguel never wanted to be ruined. It wants to be recorded, and each time the flame rises, someone must be there to witness. I brought that with me, and I've never been alone since. The journal, I left it behind, on the desk. One sentence written, "If you're reading this, she hasn't chosen you yet." But not a warning, a kindness, because being chosen means not belonging to time anymore. It means the echo lives inside you now, and the candle will follow. The flame isn't evil, it's memory, and living memory must burn to avoid becoming dust. I haven't returned, but it feels like I never left. Sometimes I see candlelight reflected in my window, even when no candle is lit. Sometimes I hear the wick crackling inside my teacup. Some nights I wake wanting to pray, but I don't remember to whom or why. Always at 3, the same silence, the same warmth. That's what echoes do. They find the hollow inside you and light it. There were more investigations after me, fixed cameras, infrared surveillance, nothing conclusive. Only errors, glitches, lost data. But in one recording, the candle was burning, and on the floor, a tape recorder, just like mine. Zooming in, they saw wax letters on the ground. "It's with him." No one understood, but I did, because I carry it now. The sound of the flame, the memory of the heat, not something you explain, something you feel, something you keep in silence. Sometimes they ask me if I believe in ghosts. I say no, because what lives in that house isn't a ghost. It's a moment, and that kind of thing doesn't disappear. It spreads. On colder nights, I dream of the room, always the same, always with the candle lit. But once, it changed. The flame went out for the first time, and someone whispered, "Now it's yours." I woke sweating, and beside me, on the nightstand, a single drop of wax, still warm. I didn't tell anyone. I kept it, like a secret placed in my hands, maybe a key, because maybe, one day, I'll need to go back, not to solve, not to understand, but to maintain, to keep the flame lit when no one else remembers his name. And if I can't return, if the room goes silent forever, maybe the flame will find another way, because echoes don't end, they learn. If you've made it this far, tell me where you're watching from. Leave a like if this story sent chills down your spine, and share it with someone who would love to uncover this mystery. We'll meet again in the next forgotten house, or perhaps it'll find you first.